Hi everyone, it's Laura from Divine Light Yoga. Today I'm talking about how you can bring yoga, so we're going to focus on the physical aspect of yoga, how you can incorporate that into your everyday classroom. So there's many different ways in which you can bring yoga poses, yoga postures into your classroom without it having to be a full 20 or 60-minute session. I used to be an early years classroom teacher, so I know what it's like to try and fit everything into your day. And it's just not possible to find an extra 30 minutes to put yoga in there as well. So I'm all about bringing in different techniques like of yoga, mindfulness, meditation, relaxation, and really incorporating it into everything that you already do in your classroom routine. So today I'm going to focus on the physical aspects of yoga, so the yoga poses, but definitely check out my other videos on how you can bring meditation, relaxation, breathing techniques, and mindfulness into your classroom. Okay, so I've got 3 tips for you. So the first way in which you can bring yoga, the physical aspect of yoga, into your class is through storytelling. So whether you're working with toddlers, kindergarten, early years children, or more up into the primary school, upper primary, we tend to have story time throughout the day. So definitely with the younger children, you might read maybe 3 to 7 books a day. And then with the older children, you might find time. It might not be every day, but there's usually some kind of story time or book time or even library time. So for the younger children, you can bring in more dynamic movement. So really taking them on a journey as you read the story. And, you know, you can really use any book. I will use any children's book that I can get my hands on. And rather than doing actions such as swimming or swishy swashy grass or gorillas, you can use this as an opportunity to get them up, get them moving, introducing them to actual yoga poses. And the great thing about the early years books is that they tend to all be based around nature, or a lot of them are based on animals. And a lot of the yoga poses are based around nature and animals. So it's very easy to actually fit it in to a story. And the children are really good at creating their own yoga poses as well. So then for the older children, you know, as you get up to maybe upper primary, they're not so much, you know, beating their chest like a gorilla or doing the swishy swashy grass actions, but you can use restorative poses so that you can take them on a storytelling journey whilst they're relaxing. So poses such as Shavasana, very classic relaxation pose, child's pose, a seated meditation pose where they can have their back against the wall, or even lying on their belly in crocodile pose. So choosing some restorative poses for those older children so that they can enjoy the story in a relaxing, soothing kind of way. So it's like a restorative story. So there are 2 different ways that you can incorporate yoga into storytelling, depending on whether it's an energizing story or more of a relaxing, wind down, end of the day kind of story time. The second way to incorporate yoga poses into your classroom is during PE time, so your physical education, your movement time, or playground time. So with the younger children, you might be out there supervising on a daily basis, so you can bring yoga poses into your regular playground games. And then again, in PE, instead of doing activities where they might be maybe running, hopping, jumping, use this as an opportunity to introduce more strong, grounded poses, poses that require balance, strength, and coordination. So it's literally just taking the activities that you normally do in the playground or in your PE or movement session and incorporating or even replacing them with yoga postures that really do help children build up that coordination, balance, and strength. And so you really don't need a huge amount of yoga experience in order to just introduce maybe 3 or 4 poses into your PE or your playground games. If you're not really sure how to create a game, you can take a look at one of my other free YouTube videos that talks about playground games or social distancing games that involve yoga poses. But it can be literally as simple as taking a playground game that you normally play, such as freeze tag. And when the children freeze, instead of just freezing still like in these funny poses, get them to freeze in the warrior two pose, so a really strong grounding pose, or get them to freeze in tree pose, which takes a lot of coordination and balance. So it's really just about enhancing those games. And rather than it just being a game where they have to listen and stop, it's actually a game where they build up their coordination and their balance and strength as well. And then the third and final way that you can introduce yoga poses is during your phonics or numeracy sessions. So definitely when I was working in early years, we would have lots of fun, tactile, creative, interactive games when we were doing our phonics and numeracy sessions. And some of the times it would be games where they would need to do an action or jump up or move around the circle every time we were learning a new sound or some aspect of numeracy. So instead of getting them to jump around, move around, or sit down, whatever it is that your game is, again, get them to do a yoga posture. So let's say you're playing a numeracy game around, odd numbers. And every time a child says an odd number, typically you would ask them to sit down. Instead of getting them to sit down, get them to balance in the warrior three pose, or get them to stand in the warrior one pose. So again, it's just about enhancing that game. So you've already got the game, it's super simple, but rather than using a simple action, get them to do a yoga pose that requires a lot more focus. And this is going to bring them keep them really engaged and bring them into the present moment. So they don't have an opportunity to let their mind wander off and think about something else that isn't numeracy or literacy. It really keeps them focused. It keeps them super engaged. They have to be very present. So that's what yoga is all about. And so the two just are able to help each other. So your literacy is going to be enhanced. So their literacy skills or their numeracy skills is going to be enhanced because the yoga poses that you're incorporating are really supporting not just the physical body, but more so their mental ability, their focus, their concentration, really engaging their brain to stay present, to stay focused. So that's 3 ways, kind of 5 ways, but 3 ways. We've got storytelling, which you can do energizing poses or restorative poses. Playground games, or instead of playground games, you could use with the older children doing it in your PE sessions. And then thirdly, incorporating it into your numeracy or literacy activities, or really any activities that you typically do. It might be science or technology. So instead of just doing regular actions or movements, really choose your poses wisely to help your children stay focused, stay engaged and present, and really optimize their learning in your sessions. So if you like any of these ideas, try them out in your classroom and then leave me a comment below. Let me know how your children responded, how it affected your class, and which one was your favorite.